Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are not done yet. There is more to come here on qualifying day for the 26th running of the Superkarts USA SuperNationals. My name is Rob Howden, joined again by Xander Clemens and Mike Smith. As ladies and gentlemen, we are about set to get things underway. Very interesting. There obviously were major issues at the very end of qualifying for the drivers in the pro shifter category. We had the final group onto the racetrack. Major incident down in turn, essentially the end of the back straightaway, to the final corner essentially of the track, turn 10, I guess, leading back over to turn number 1. Indeed, the incident that we had brought out full course yellow. We did not go red. The drivers in that category did not get a full brace of laps to be able to put their lap times down, only a couple of laps in. And Mike Smith, what the SKUSA has elected to do essentially is come back and do this again. They're allowing 4 more minutes for the drivers in that group. So again, we'll come to you real quick here right now because we are getting ready to go. We got some guys down on pit lane. Let's go back to David Land right now. He's going to talk with Marian Kremers.
Yeah, Marian, I mean, a difficult situation here. You're currently provisionally P2, but it looks like they're going to send everybody in that last group back out. What are your thoughts right now as this goes on?
It's the wrong decision they made. I mean, everybody got 4 minutes in. It's not someone else. Obviously someone else put it in the wall, which is their fault. But what they should have done is just a red flag immediately and let everybody have their 4 minutes of full racing or full qualifying. And I mean, we all managed to keep it on the track for 4 minutes. 50 others did. Now these, however many it is, 15 are going to get another chance at it, which is, in my opinion, very unfair. I mean, I wasn't happy with my qualifying. I feel like I can improve, and I asked them if I could join them, but I got told that if I speak to them in one more time, I'm going to get DQ'd. So I backed off. I don't want to get DQ'd. I don't want to start last, but now I'm going to start 17th instead of 2nd. So I think it's a bit of BS.
Yeah, it seemed like the discussions were very heated, involving, most of the field was down here at one point. I mean, what were those discussions like with the series, and was there any kind of middle ground achieved?
Oh, definitely no middle ground. I mean, they didn't really listen to which was a fast group. I understand that they're the main guys. I feel like I should have been in there, and I would have been on the other side of this story probably, but at the moment I'm P2. 50 drivers managed to keep it on track with no issues. One driver crashed and it hurt 12 other drivers, which, I mean, it sucks for them, but AJ got a decent lap in. He would have been 10th or 15th or somewhere around there. It was possible to get that decent lap in.
Little issue there with the connection, so again, we will get back at it here. So listen, Xander Clemens joining us here. Mike, will come to you real quickly as Xander gets kind of set up here. I understand where Marian Kremers is coming from. Obviously, he sees it as being a situation where that session was ended and doesn't think we need to go back at it. People that were on that track, Xander, think that they need to get their full 4 minutes on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-win situation any way you cut it, right? You're going to have a really unhappy group on either side. The scale line was halted. I mean, we have been done for quite a bit of time. I mean, there are people that have gone home. The Jumbotron crew is gone, so we apologize for those in the paddock as well, that they are not here. We got the PA back up. They had actually exited as well. Everyone assumed that we were done for the day, but this deliberation was a long and lengthy conversation with a number of team owners. At least here, there's someone in good spirits. How about the Maranello USA boys over there on the far side? Josh Conker, Talon Yockel from the Magic Art Group. They're ready to watch. And again, here's the ultimate kicker of everything. This is the second heat cycle for these guys. The track has cooled off more. So how much of an advantage is it going to be? Again, in Marian's case, he's assuming the worst, that this entire group is going to pass him by, which, of course, it's all fast guys. But that being said, they were not allowed to go back to the pits to work on the carts. You had to have your carts there. They all kept their carts at the scale area and protested. And at this point, all that you're allowed to do now is make sure that you're topped off on fuel. I believe. I don't even know if they were allowed to top off on fuel.
I think I heard Tom talk about that. SKUSA was talking about, the officials were talking about topping off, so I believe that's the case.
So the the guess that any of these guys can go pole as fast as they all have been, with the colder temperatures being better for the engine, but the track cooling off so much. Again, we talk all the time about track temperature just as much as we talk about air temperature, if not more, right? The track temperature on the surface, the sun beating down, it's normally, 10, 20, 30 degrees hotter than the surface temperature. But one part that I think is really critical in karting situations specifically is that track retains heat when you're having back-to-back sessions. This track has been cold for 45 minutes. So not only that, the track is going down, but here is, this is a word as well from Luis Speck's mechanic from the Race Lab Karting TV boys. We heard from Kremers, who was set for the opposite of the front row. The driver and his mechanic, who were set to start pole, Luis Speck and his mechanic said, no problem, let them run in their tires if they want. Make them work those rubber a little bit more.
And that's the case for sure. Again, maybe Luis Speck at 42.260. That is the provisional pole time right now with these remaining drivers set to come out. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how everything plays, whether or not it's going to happen, because as I think, Xander, you kind of brought up, there's a potential for them just not to go as quick.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing, too. You heard the confidence that Speck had, right? He was like, yeah, no, this is where we should have been. We ended up in this scenario. But I think what Xander said, his point about the track conditions and the tires and, wear them in, everybody can throw on new skins on Sunday, right? Yep. But it's getting to Sunday, which is the question. So the Speck's going, we feel good about our scenario. Yeah, let them try to get after it. You had mentioned, kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. Either side's going to be bad. Some guys are going to be happy about the other opportunity. Others not. It's all speculation until we get these cards. I mean,
this is roulette, right? If I'm placing some chips on the table right now, I think the guys that go from maybe the 50s and the 60s, the guys at the very back of this session, right? Formal, Pickett, that were all the way dead last in the session, didn't have a single lap in. I think for sure, right, they probably punched their way to the midfield.
It's hard to do worse, right?
Yeah, it's hard for them to do worse. That's an easy bet. Gambling that any of these guys would dethrone Luis Speck. Obviously, he feels confident, like he said. Let him run. Let him go put some extra laps. Put an additional heat cycle. Sometimes it's not even so much about laps on the tires, but it's heating them up, burning them in, and then letting them cool off again. So these guys are going to have a bonus heat cycle, and that could really play in to heat number 3. Now, Danny Formal, of course, he was the one that was the biggest loser in terms of the big names out of this last group. We do have a word with him while they're getting ready down on the grid right now.
Just going to get things dialed in here with the camera down there, having a bit of trouble with the connection here. We'll try to get a hold of Danny Formal if we get an opportunity to do that. So, indeed, we'll see how things play out. Danny Formal, like you said, he's one of the drivers who's going to get an opportunity to better the time that he laid down. He was going to be way down the order, probably down somewhere in the high 50s, we figured, in terms of where he was when the combined two groups got together. But so Formal's easily a happy man getting an opportunity to do it one more time.
The other part that we're going to find out here, right? Obviously, Albanese, he's got nothing either way. That poor guy is done. He is okay, yes, but he is done from the session. Yeah. So for the other drivers, right, Gulick was spun. This is a big win for him as well because he was the one spun on the inside of the racetrack. Jacob Gulick now, he might have been able to refire, but even if he would have, even if that session would have just gone full course yellow and extended a few laps in any way, there's nothing he would add. So this is a big help for him as well. Along with the other drivers. You can see, of course, A.J. Myers there in the Magic card involved in this group. Kyle Wick is there. This will be a big help for him. So big names. And again, Kyle Wick, Danny Formal, we think back to 1 year ago. They got the short end of the stick at the start of Super Sunday, worked hard, and weren't able to get their way onto the racetrack. In this case, 1 year later at least, it is going to work out okay. I believe we do have signal now, so let's go try this again here. Hopefully we've got it. It's taken a minute because we've had to turn all of our stuff back on again as well. Let's go down here to pit lane with David Land.
Yep, thanks, Sander. Obviously, we heard one end of this situation. Danny, you were on the other end of it. This is an odd situation for sure, but, what are your thoughts on it?
Just struggling again a little bit here with our connection. We'll do our best to get that thing back up to speed and we'll get things back underway here again. Mike, again, listen, this is the stress, I think, will play this as well. Let's go to you as the driver analyst. Remember, these guys, first of all, have been kind of protesting to do whatever they can to get that opportunity to do this. Now they got to put their heads down, and they got 4 laps to get the job done.
Well, exactly. The first job was get the opportunity, right?
Right.
And whoever was making the fight, right? If it's your team owner, if it's you, if it's your mechanic, someone speaking up for you as your part and then as the group. All right, cool. You guys got the first part checked. Now, how do we make this work? All right. At the end of the day, as a driver, all right, cool. I know what I'm going to do. I got to go out there and I got to drive as good as I possibly can. I got to get as much heat in the tires. My job is easy, or at least my job is straightforward. I know what I got to do. It's just time to go do it.
Engines firing down on pit lane right now on the grid, getting things to go. And again, we talk about this, like we're down temp-wise now. We're down into the mid-50s, so that has dropped probably, I want to say 5, 6, 7 degrees since we kind of capped things off. The track has lost any kind of heat that had sinked into the asphalt here at this facility, so the track's going to be a lot cooler. Everything's cooler. And again, with that, are they going to be with only 4 laps? Or are they going to be enough when they get to the 4th lap?
Yeah, and to be specific about who's in and who's out too, let's talk about that for a second. Like, who's actually getting a chance to do this again? As we just found out as well, to make sure we know, if you left scales, if you left the deal, you don't get another shot at it.
Indeed.
So the only drivers who are going to be taking back to the track are going to be those that hung out in the scale line, did not cross through, did not go back to the pit. So the actual drivers we're going to see as far as they go down and who actually is not going to be joining us, we'll find out in a second.
Well, funny enough, of course, we can't seem to get an interview going, but now that we're down there with the camera and we're not talking to Danny, our signal is back fine. We do apologize again, of course, about the technical difficulties, as many more of you join in here for what is, again, an unprecedented run for those just joining us. This is a rerun of the final of the 4 groups in Pro Shifter qualifying that they had their session cut short with a nasty crash with Danilo Albanese and Jacob Gulick. Both drivers up and okay. The kart for Albanese, worse for wear. Gulick, I believe, is that him there in the 203? Jacob Gulick will get a rerun there in the GFC. You can see him with the blue helmet. That's him on the right, so he'll be able to get back out there. That's Paulo Ippolito. Here's AJ Myers. Talk about a guy who's been good in qualifying. This is at least going to keep his qualifying streak alive for the last couple of years of really putting that Magic Kart up front. New engine builder for 2023 for Myers in the Magic Kart camp with the Sony competition engines. He's been somewhat of a factor, I would say. I don't think anyone's really spoke out as a dominant force. Formel's had the speed when that motor stays together, and I'm sure that's what's on his mind right now is, okay, we argued, we lobbied, please don't seize on the outlap.
Yeah, let's get this thing warmed up correctly right now.
Exactly. That you're talking about how much it's gotten cooler, and it's not going the other direction. It's going to get cooler and cooler and cooler. You definitely got to make, because you still have all the racing to do. So you don't want to go and throw something away here, whether you make a mistake or something like that, and you bend something up. You got to make sure you do this the right way, because, okay, yeah, getting a couple more spots is good, but not if you bend something up or blow something up.
Helmets going on. The call to put the carts on the ground has been given, so it is time to go to work. This will essentially be 4 minutes. They're going to get their 4 laps on the racetrack here now. They're going to have to bring these tires up to temperature, the engines up to temperature, and again, the pressure gets put on the fastest drivers that we had. The fastest group is the group that did not get their full session, had a couple laps in, and during those laps, guys were kind of playing a little bit. They were backing up. We saw Formal backing up and be trying to get a tow, trying to find out where he was going to position himself. A couple of drivers jetting out front by themselves. They're going to have to do it all over again. Stack them, repack them, and press the reset button. Xander, we're back at it once again. Engines getting fired up.
Yeah, again, we are getting set to go. There you can see everyone's fired back. Formal and Myers will lead the field off. Hunter Pickett and Jacob Gulick in view. Paulo Ippolito getting set to go as well on the Inter-MS Kart Republic. You can see all the names there on the left-hand side. Danilo Albanese's name is left there. I don't know if they're going to try, and they couldn't fix the go-kart, so I can't imagine he's going back out.
I think it's the entirety of that group. And again, we'll know once they start crossing the line who's in play and who's not. But you were talking about the gamesmanship and working things out before. I think this is 100% tire warming and going hot, and that is it.
Exactly that. And again, drivers getting set to go. You see these names: Wick, Gulick, Ippolito, Saraceno, Golding, Vajano, Myers, Tandon, Carrera, Pickett, Formal, Trevelov, Pasowicz, Cabrera, Kajak, Vasile and Ruscitti, all drivers we expect to potentially see out. The only one we don't think we're going to see will be Albanese, but they will roll out. We'll get things underway. There's Saraceno and the Maranello, and away we go. Drivers out onto the racetrack. Formal will lead them through the opening corners.
The interesting part I see here is that unlike the other sessions that were timed and it was a borderline of 4 or 5 laps, the official word, everyone's going to get 4 laps. So why would the group all go out together in the same 5-second piece of real estate? We know that tow is relatively beneficial, but not so much for these guys. They're basically topping out or not when it comes to the end of the straightaway. So as Formal comes on, now he's going to have a bigger gap, and it seems they're starting to set their gaps. But big pack behind him. These guys, they got a mulligan. They got a chance to go again, and they might be miring themselves in traffic if they don't get apart from each other.
And that's the key thing. Strategy is going to come into play here. You can't be messing around. You're making some dive bomb moves to the inside. You're going to have to give up some exit speed. It's all about maximizing and optimizing each and every lap. The first 2, of course, all about getting heat into the tires, heat into your brake package, heat into the engine. Bank your lap on lap number 3, and then you throw one down in lap number 4. Again, drivers just coming around to begin that first circuit. We'll see exactly how many drivers come across the line to lay down times. We expect the only one that we will not see will be Albanese, although Kajak, I don't think he was out in that session either, so we're not going to see him either. So Kajak in the number 293, a no-show as well.
44.0 for Danny Formal. Lap number 1, again, a reminder, 42.260 is the provisional pole right now, and the one that Spec is hoping to hold on to.
The good news for Formal, he did do a 44.0 in his warm-up laps beforehand, so it's not necessarily a bigger gain or a bigger loss for the big guy, at least as of now. Now he's coming across towards the chicane. That's turn 5-6. Here is Paolo Ippolito, the FIA KZ World Champion, leading a train of a couple. That is one of the SRP Maranello USA machines right behind him. I believe that may be David Trefilov. And then you go further back to find the rest of that train, including Hunter Pickett and Carol Pashewicz in the Inter MS Kart Republic, and then Kyle Wick on the black and white GFC. Across the line, where are we at on lap 2? 42.9, AJ Myers tops the boards.
Yeah, Myers goes right there. Kyle Wick up into second. Danny Formal third. Carrera fourth. Vijano fifth. But they're still about 7/10 of a second off. Lap number 3 they are working on right now. Myers trying to see if he can't put himself back up. And Luis Speck on the sidelines hoping to see if he can't still stay somewhere within the top 2 or 3 drivers.
You see how aggressive these drivers were right out of the gate, just weaving super hard. Absolutely not the way we saw it before. They knew it was time to go right now, and now they're only going to have about 1 lap to make it happen.
Yeah, final time coming up here. This is the end of lap 3. Formal, 42.6, still 4/10 to find. Myers is going to go better. Ippolito, 42.4. They're getting closer. 2/10 off for Paolo Ippolito. Myers back to third. Hunter Pickett goes to second on the PSL VRLR. We got problems coming out of turn number 1. That is Paolo
Carrera.
Giorgio Carrera with a problem.
Issue for Giorgio Carrera. He was there P4, so that'll be it for him. A couple other drives battling for position. Final lap here for qualifying. This extra session for the drivers in that first group of Q1. Let's see if Formal can pull the trigger. 42.4 for Ippolito. He's going to have to go 42.2 to see if he can't steal it away. Who's going to go to the top of the box? Formal does not get the job done. Ippolito, 42.3 for AJ Myers. It's still Speck on top. 42.2 for Kyle Wick goes P1. Kyle Wick is P1. A 42.244 is just enough to be able to take it away. Kyle Wick holding the spot here right now. Did they go checker?
I don't believe so. I thought we were at the end of lap number 4 right there, Mike, if I'm correct. Yeah, checker is out. They're just doing a quick cool-down lap. But what a turnaround. The GFC boys go from 0 to hero. Kyle Wick is on the pole here provisionally as they continue the cool-down lap towards the back sector. And just holding on to second will be Luis Speck. A 42.35 for Jay Irwin. That'll drop him somewhere around the top 5 as Myers and Jacob Gulick in a dead tie. No, checker now. There's more coming. Across the line, more will cycle to the top. Remo Ruscetti goes to second. Jacob Gulick to the top of the board.
He's the one who spun.
It's a GFC 1-2. Jacob Gulick, Kyle Wick locking out the front row for the Pro Shifter category. Remo Ruscetti for Itel Kart on the Catalyst machine goes to third. Vajano to fourth. AJ Myers back into the 5th spot. A 42.150. I have a feeling that I want to say, 42.260. Luis Speck still going to be P3.
Jacob Gulick is spun around wrong direction, toast in the first shot at it.
That's
and
it.
here
Look
he
at
is
the GFC boys
on
here.
hole. It is a GFC 1-2.
It is Gary Carlton's crew, GFC Karting, front row lockout for SuperNationals 26 here throughout the heat races. A lot of stuff happened there. Again, try to blend the times that we know. Jay Irwin, where was Jay in terms of speed? 42.3. So 42.351 still puts him faster than AJ Myers. So potentially, I want to say like 7th, I think, for Jay Irwin. But again, Kyle Wick laying it down in the final circuit. We thought they were going to get 4 laps. I think it was obviously 4 minutes because so many of those drivers laying down that 5th lap at the end of it. There's Giorgio Carrera, some kind of an issue for Carrera. But I'll tell you this, Jacob Gulick, you have done it. P1 for Jacob Gulick. What a run. Xander Clemens laying it down on lap number 5.
What a run,
All
what
right,
a year. And he's
SuperNats pole
standing
sitter.
by
That
with
was-
David Land down in the scale area. Holy moly, Jacob Gulick gets his first Pro Tour win in 2023, gets his second and his first weekend sweep, and now he is on the pole in the stacked as ever Pro Shifter category. Dave?
All right, SuperNats pole sitter. I mean, this was amazing. Just describe your emotions and the situation here at hand.
I mean, yeah, I'll tell you what, that was a roller coaster. Absolute chaos out of the pits, and made it a couple laps around. I thought I had a good track position. I got spun out in one of the hairpins, and that just drove me even further. And I able to pull it off. Pretty sweet.
And tell us what it means to you, because this is such a strong field, and to be leading them to the green flag. I mean, what a career achievement.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, between the 2 Utah poles, or the 2 Utah wins this last year, and this, I mean, that's by far the highlight of my career. This is amazing.
Absolutely incredible scenes down here in Vegas. Back to you guys in the booth.
So there you go, Xander. He is going to be starting on the pole position for all 3 of his the heat races. This thing is going to stack up. GFC, the whole crew there, high-fiving each other down there to be able to lock out the front row. You never know how it was going to shake out. Remo Rossetti at the end putting down a big lap. Vajano as well. Myers ends up 5th in the group and will likely be in the 6th spot. I think that we're going to potentially see Jay Irwin in 6th or 7th, maybe 8th spot. It's just interesting to see the way it all ended up playing down. Danny Formal back in 9th on that group.
Well, this tightens up the midfield tremendously. A lot of 42.4s and 42.5s at the back half of that top 10. And then, of course, that kind of covers the top 5. So in Morin Kremers' case there at a 42.3, he still ends up pretty decent with the way this group is going to end up. I mean, that's going to not necessarily a 42.330, I believe, for them. But the top 5, the way it all shakes out, we do know, of course, Luis Speck and Jay Irwin will slot into, I believe, 3rd. And then 4th or 5th for Irwin. Irwin at a 42.351 puts him ahead of AJ Myers. So it'll put him in the 6th position behind Matteo Vigano. So it goes Gulick and Kyle Wick. And talk about a turnaround of scenes. We were able to catch the emotion of Gary Carlton on the fence line when the wreck happened and his hands went in the air and he was like,
Gary,
what is going on? And now
that was an
the
odd
night
one for
turns
sure.
around.
But your
30 minutes later, he's got a
here,
smile
team
on
owner,
his face. Dave?
Gary, that was an odd one, but you are pole sitter as a team owner here at SuperNats. I mean, describe the feeling right now.
I don't want to downplay it. It's really cool to be on pole and against all these great drivers and teams. And Jacob Gulick, I think he got a little redemption. Hopefully he can have a good race after what happened to him 2 weeks ago in Rock. I think he was one of the fastest drivers, if not the fastest driver all weekend. So good job to him. But I came here to win the race, not to get pole. But very happy for them. And I always say they don't give out the trophies today, so that's what we'll be aiming for, obviously. But obviously, it's a good start, and now the hard work starts.
The hard work will start. Thank you very much, and it's going to be a heck of a week coming up. Back to you guys in the booth.
Yeah, and that really is the reality, isn't it, Xander? It's a pole position. It's going to give you the front row for all three heat races. Number one, it's the second best pole of the weekend. Super Sunday pole is better than the pole you have here right now. All right, so David Cole's done some work here for us. So Jacob Gulick, P1, 42.150. Kyle Wick in second. Luis Speck comes home in third, 42.263. So Speck with a good run there, holding on to a top three spot. Remo Ruscitti on the outside of row number 2. Matteo Vajano and Marian Kremers will be on row number 3. Jay Irwin ends up in the 7th spot as he is just, I think, 7 thousandths of a second. Well, there's groups. That's right. There's groups. But Kremers and Irwin, and then Emilian Denner in 8th, AJ Myers 9th, and Daniel Vazele in the 10th spot. So that's where they are of the top 10. Of course, they are going to have the groups. Remembering how many karts we have in this class, it's not just the single group. So obviously it'll shake out a little bit. But Jacob Gulick be on the pole for all of his races. A tremendous run for him. But again, a couple of guys like Speck and Jay Irwin. What a run for Jay Irwin as well in the top 10.
Well, and here's the thing about this, right? And this, in terms of the scenario outcome, I don't think outside of maybe Speck staying on the pole, this goes a whole lot better, right? Not everyone in that group went a whole lot quicker. Yep. A lot of them went in probably half a tenth to a tenth behind of where they would have been had it been the hot racetrack and that first go at it with fresh rubber. So for them to slot in, again, Kremers thought he was going back to 17th. He goes to 6th. That's going to put him, obviously in the second spot, second row for all of his heat races tomorrow and Saturday. Yep. It's not a bad consolation prize by any means. It just did, I think, what ultimately SKUSA was hoping to do and blend the fast guys back together, and that's kind of what we've got. It's a weird, wild night, 2 really crazy nights here in Las Vegas. To go to a SuperNats where you have a massive track change on Wednesday and you have this doomsday scenario happen here in qualifying on Thursday.
Well, and that's just it. It's just qualifying. And by just qualifying, I mean there is so much that's going to happen. Now, these guys just have you talked about heat cycles, extra time on the tires, all this different stuff that they just did. How much will that affect them? Probably not much tomorrow. Probably and heat 3. Saturday, when you really need that last little bit, yeah, that could be where we start seeing the last. We don't know how much that bump down there, how much that divot is. Are they getting into the tires when they get that late? There's a big question mark going on right now with this group.
And it's not just, it's 6 laps. Remember, essentially 5.5 laps. They did the warm-up lap, and then they came through. So it's a lot of laps on those tires, all said and done. When you get if there's that fine line of you having something over somebody else, when it comes to the situation Saturday, heat 3, that could change something.
And the field's close.
It is.
There's not a lot between them, so that little bit could be the difference. We talk about how racy it is. We're going to find out.
We thought we were done, Xander. Now we are.
Thought we were. Now we are. As we bring everything back down to ground level, back to you guys. We thought we were ready. We'll send it off one more time. Like Mike said, this is just the prelim. Racing gets underway for SKUSA SuperNationals 26 tomorrow. For Rob Out and Mike Smith, Henry Bodette, myself, Xander Clements, our entire Kart Chaser team, and the SuperKarts USA crew, live from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That signs us off officially for the night. We will see everyone bright and early tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern.